Okay, Barney, what do you think about weathering and erosion? Okay, so today's lesson is going to be on weathering and erosion of rocks. First of all, let's get a couple of definitions sorted. Weathering and erosion are different things. Weathering is the wearing down or breaking up of rocks. This could be a physical, chemical or biological process, and we're going to look at those in the video. Erosion is the movement of these little bits of rocks from one place to another. This could be by water, ice or wind. First thing we're going to look at is water. So here we've got a freshwater spring, a small trickle of water to start with, not much energy. Here it is a little bit further down, running over the rocks, smoothing them out and transporting little pieces of rock downstream. Where the stream slows down, it's actually going to deposit those little pieces of rock and they will settle. Here we are up on a mountaintop. Notice that the rocks are all starting to crack up. This is another process caused by water. It's called freeze-thaw weathering. Where there's small cracks in the rocks, water can get in. At night time, when it gets cold, that water freezes and expands and it breaks up the rocks. And over time, these rocks fall off down the mountain. This is another physical process. It's mechanically done. You can clearly see the rocks all breaking up here. Eventually these rocks slide down the mountain and form scree slopes. Finally, for water, we can look at the power of the sea. So the waves can crash against the rocks, they can also shove other pebbles against the rocks as well. And when they do that, they can smash off and smooth off the rounded edges of the rocks. Here's an amazing series of pictures which just show the power of the sea. Animals can also have an effect on the landscape. Here, while walking Barney, he's not following a human footpath, he's actually following the tracks of animals. Now, as animals walk along through the rocks and the cliffs, their hooves and feet will break up the land around them. So this is a form of weathering, but it'll also move the rocks, so it's also a form of erosion. Trees and plants can form biological weathering. This is where the roots and stems of plants actually grow up through the rocks or cracks between the rocks, and as they grow they actually push the rocks apart. Here you can see in this old tree, as I zoom in, you can actually see as it's grown up through, it's actually been able to pick up a rock and it's got it held in its trunk. Another form of physical weathering or mechanical weathering is called onion skin. This happens in deserts where it's very hot in the day and cold at night. In the daytime, the outer layers of the rocks expand, and at night time they cool down and contract. This breaks them up into smaller pieces. The wind can then blow these tiny pieces of sand and cause amazing rock formations, which is another type of physical weathering. The last type of weathering is called chemical weathering. This is where certain acid gases in the air, for example carbon dioxide, which a small amount is naturally there, and sulfur dioxide, which comes as a result of burning certain fossil fuels. So these gases can react with moisture in the air and fall as acid rain, either weak or strong, and this can react with certain types of rock. You often see this on statues, wearing them away. So this was just a short lesson on weathering and erosion. So remember, weathering, that's the breaking up of rocks from large pieces into small pieces, and this can be done by mechanical or physical, biological or chemical methods. And erosion is the taking of those smaller pieces of rock from one place to another, which is usually done by water, but can be done by wind or ice, as in a glacier flow as well. So I've finished the lesson now. It's time for you to go and do some work. Bye bye.